believe it? It's Thursday again, and hello, welcome to Q&A. And if you're wondering why my hair looks great, it's because yes, I went to see the Blonde Whisperer this week, and he's amazing. So if you're in Charlotte, I'll totally give you his phone number. But today's first question is one that's a little bit granular and wonky. So if you're a super nerd, this is going to be your favorite for a while. And if you're not a super nerd, stay with me, because when you are an engaged real estate broker, there's things you are responsible for, whether you realize it or not. Now, the question came from a wonderful lady named Angie who said, "Praise God, how do we learn all these things you talk about, Leigh Brown? Lordy lady, that's a lot to know." Angie, I don't know if you talk like I do, but I'm kind of imagining that you do. You said this needs to be highlighted on your channel. Start with the DOT. How do we find things out? So Angie, thank you for asking that. I do tend to talk really quickly because my brain is moving in 14 directions, and I know some of y'all totally identify with me on that. Navigating the DOT website is nobody's idea of a good time. The DOT's website is government funded. Therefore, it's not going to be slick or intuitive or fairly easy to mess around with, but it is wildly useful. So in North Carolina, you would go to NCdot.gov, and in your state, I'm going to wager that the website is somewhat similar. So look for your state Department of Transportation. What you want to be aware of on here as a real estate broker are two things. The first one is projects. And on North Carolina's site, good job NCDOT, there's actually a tab at the top that says projects. When you click on that down arrow, you'll see right here you've got current projects. That's where the road cones are now. And we do like to say that the orange and white barrel is the state flower of North Carolina. It's actually not, but it seems like it. There are completed projects. Those are the roads you're driving on now and you're going, high five, it's finally done. And unfunded projects. This is the one that's super critical for real estate brokers to be paying attention to, because if you're in an area of the state where there is an unfunded project, that means the road is coming. That means they could be going through the process of condemnation, right-of-way obtaining. They could be getting bids for the project. It could just be that they're waiting on their turn at the pot of money. As a real estate broker, the fact that it hasn't started does not mean you're off the hook for knowledge. Now remember what this means to the average buyer and seller, right? When a buyer or seller sees road cones and construction, they tend to flip out a little bit because it does feel like it will last forever. The reality is, once the construction's done, values do tend to ease back up because we get used to things very quickly. The biggest problem with road projects is uncertainty and lack of knowledge. As a broker, you can't be at that lack of knowledge stage when you have the information right here. You can be uncertain, and that's really important to tell your buyers and sellers. Tell them, hey, I don't really know how this is going to turn out. I think the right turn only could be good for traffic. I'm sure that I love traffic circles, because in North Carolina, if you don't love traffic circles, you're really in trouble. And I just got to add in here, if y'all aren't following the account for the Roberta Road roundabout, it's right here in Concord, like 2 seconds from my house. It's hilariously awful to watch on TikTok and Instagram. So Roberta Road roundabout, thank you for exposing the foolishness of road project design. The other thing you want to pay attention to on the DOT website was a huge win for the North Carolina Realtors. We finally got our state to put together a roads database. Now, why does this matter? Again, as a real estate broker, you're responsible for knowing a whole bunch of stuff because it matters to your buyers and sellers. My personal house is on a non-state maintained road. That means it's a private road, which means if we need asphalt or anything done to it, the neighbors all have to pitch in. You will also find there are roads with written road agreements and some without road agreements. And then, because we were one of the original 13 colonies, you're welcome. We have cart and buggy paths out there, and cart and buggy paths still exist. Nobody owns it, nobody maintains it. But if a house empties its vehicles onto and off of a cart and buggy path, somebody at some point is going to want to know what has to happen to put some new wonderful gravel out there or some concrete or asphalt or what have you. As a broker, check the database and see what the status is of the road so you can advise your sellers and advise your buyers. And by the way, if you're a home buyer and you happen to be wandering up onto my channel, go check out your own road, because it's really important to know as the DOT decides what projects to fund, if your road needs attention, you can always submit it for their attention. All right, question number 2 comes from Lexi, who says, hey, I recently attended your session in Orlando. Well, hey friend, what's up? In this session, you referenced some ideas for e-signatures, for RPR, for BPOs. That's a whole lot of different things. So here's what Lexi's asking about. The first one, let's just talk about e-signatures real quickly. I am a little bit of a fuss budget when it comes to e-signatures, I admit it, but it aggravates my ever-loving last nerve when I open your email and in it, your signature is 47 lines long with every job you've ever had, every volunteer role you've ever had, that you won the spelling bee in the 3rd grade. I don't care. That you were second runner-up for student body president in the 10th grade. Doesn't matter. Your email signature should have the following items: your brokerage affiliation, your license if your state requires it, your cell phone, your email, your physical address. Those are required by most real estate license law. I would also love it if you had a link to your website so I could go check you out and see what kind of fun things you have going on in your market. I also think it's relevant to list your current volunteer roles where you have fiduciary obligations or some kind of a leadership position. For myself, I'm currently the state president for North Carolina Realtors. That's in my email signature because I have that job. When I no longer have that job next year, I'm probably going to roll it right out of there because that will be somebody else's role at the time. So just think thoughtfully. If you would introduce yourself, hi, I'm Leigh Brown. I was on the committee to dissolve committees in 2014. If that's how you introduce yourself, please stop. But that's the way you can really narrow down what belongs in your email signature. Second thing Lexi references is RPR. That's the Realtors Property Resource. It's a resource available to realtors, just as it's named. So if you are a dues-paying member of the National Association of Realtors, you have access to it. Now, some of y'all are in boards that haven't yet come to the decision to fully cooperate. You still have access to great information. And in RPR, there's a tab for residential real estate and a tab for commercial real estate. Both of them are chock full of data. In fact, a lot of it comes from public websites such as the U.S. Census on the residential side, and on the commercial side, there's a ton of information about business types in an area. So it is public data, but it's consolidated to help save you time doing research for your clients. But also, if you hand your iPad to a buyer while they're looking at houses and they can look at the RPR report, they can get some great robust information while you're driving and telling them about comps in the neighborhood. You can also do your market analysis through RPR. If you like that platform, it's available. So just go to narrpr.com and check it out. It just recently did get updated and it's so much prettier now. I'll just say thanks, RPR. All right, the third thing she mentioned was BPOs. A BPO is a broker price opinion. This is not really a full CMA because you don't often have access to the full property. It is most definitely not in any way, shape, or form an appraisal. To do an appraisal, you have to be a licensed appraiser. Most realtors, when they're doing a broker price opinion, are doing a ballpark guess of a price for a house. These are usually done in conjunction with properties that are in financial distress. So the bank is curious about the value of the property so they can compare it to the mortgage and to the days delinquent and see if it's a house they're fixing to take back. You may also be asked to do one of these as a second opinion to an attorney who's managing an asset for liquidation through a divorce. It could be for a second opinion to a court in bankruptcy. What it takes to do a solid BPO is an eye for detail. You're going to have a form that has about 11 million little lines on it. And if you have middle-aged eyes, as I do, you will need your readers. The font's very small. I don't know why. But you're going to be expected to go through and find active, comparable houses, sold comparable houses, and most importantly, provide some adjustments. So what is a fence worth in your market? What is the condition? Is it good, fair, or poor? When you start thinking about those things, if that's outside your expertise, go take some extra education. And most importantly, make sure you have lunch with your favorite local appraiser on the regular so they can tell you what kind of numbers they're seeing as they make adjustments in the market. Remember, most of our certified appraisers are realtors as well, and they should be our partners in all of this to make sure we're giving the best possible information to the public. Okay. Third question is from a realtor. We'll call her seasoned. She says, I am semi-retiring. High five, friend. Good job. Since her husband retired this year. All right, who wants to vote in the comments if she stays retired with her husband being retired? She won't. She'll be full-time, but all right. It says, what advice do you have for keeping abreast of the market and helping those closest to me sell and buy their homes? I don't want to totally get out of the business, but I'm ready to pull back. Friend, you are expressing what so many realtors express when they hit that age of, I'm done. And you've built this wonderful book of business through your ethics and your competence, and your clients just think you walk on water. You're the best realtor that ever lived. If you just closed up shop, who would help them? I will just say that when you are hitting that point in your career, one of the most important things you can do is find a younger career realtor who is looking to grow and who shares a lot of your basic values when it comes to ethics and knowledge and professionalism, so that you can work together for a short time and ideally build a relationship so that you could pass to them anybody that you don't have the bandwidth for. Because I know that when you are semi-retiring, you do not want to let the level of expertise lag, nor the level of service you've provided all these years. And rest assured, there are plenty of folks coming behind you that would love to learn from you, inherit those clients, and even compensate you with a referral fee of some sort. Those kinds of opportunities exist all over the place. And frankly, that's the mark of a good leader. When you are looking behind yourself to elevate the person who's coming in to replace you, that's what leadership looks like. Because leadership is not just in your job as the president of the Rotary Club. It's your job as a professional in an entrepreneurial space to make sure somebody's there to take care of anybody who values your opinion enough to call you. Now, as far as staying abreast of the market, there are so many resources out there, but just take a look at, for example, NAR's research account. Follow them on Instagram or Pinterest, and you will see a ton of data coming out. I presume that you'll stay a member of the National Association, so don't forget to go to nar.realtor and look at that research tab. Frankly, it's overwhelming and can be a rabbit hole that will suck you down for several hours, but you can get so much information that will keep you on top of what's happening in the macro market. And then as a member of your multiple listing service, of course, you have access to wonderful data that will help you stay up to speed on what's happening, as our favorite weatherman used to say, in your neck of the woods. But I can't stress enough, I've seen too many realtors who are seasoned in their career who get exhausted, burned out, and ready to quit. And along the way, they just forgot to spend time nurturing a mentee, bringing somebody along who could purchase and inherit their business. So don't forget to look after the long-term viability of your business and your clients while you're working, and build those relationships that matter. If you're trying to find that enterprising younger realtor, either look around your office, or my favorite advice, start volunteering with your local realtors. You'll be surprised at the high quality of colleagues who would love to create something magical with you. I appreciate y'all stopping in on this Thursday here. Make sure you leave me a comment if you need me to answer something for you. You can also DM if you need some privacy. I get you. And also give us a thumbs up and come back for more next week.